Abntv newspaper review of today. I am Ifeoluwa Adesonya and my colleague.
I am Kenny Afolabi.
So today I have the Tribune newspaper and the Vanguard newspaper. First of all, let's venture into the Tribune newspaper. Fidelity Bank. Obi denies meeting Tinubu in Rome over alleged 225 billion naira debt. Former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has denied reports that he met with President Bola Tinubu in Rome to discuss an alleged 225 billion naira debt linked to Fidelity Bank. In a statement released on Thursday, Obi described the report as part of a blackmail campaign aimed at damaging his reputation. I have never sought an audience with nor met President Tinubu since he assumed office, except about 1 minute meeting at the arena of St. Peter's Basilica, Rome during the inauguration Mass of Pope Leo XIV, where I was seated behind, and how to respectfully greet him and other dignitaries present, Obi said. Obi also clarified his relationship with Fidelity Bank, stating that he does not own the bank. Throughout my career, I have served as chairman, director of 3 banks, financial institutions, of which Fidelity is one of them. Fidelity has over 500,000 shareholders, none of whom hold a majority stake. The full details of the story is in the Tribune newspaper. Over to you, Kenny.
Here with me, I have the Punch newspaper and I have the Daily Trust newspaper. Firstly, we are going to the feature into the Punch newspaper. OSUN PDP seeks Adeleke direction as senators endorse Tinubu. The People's Democratic Party in Osun State has stated that it will be guided by the directions of the Governor Ademola Adeleke, following the decision of the state 3 PDP senators to endorse President Bola Tinubu for a second time. Senator Kamarudin Oyewumi, Senator Olubi Ajagmola, and Senator Francis Fadansi, in a joint statement on Wednesday, declared their full support for President Tinubu and citing his achievements in governance, economy reforms, and infrastructure development. The senator described Tinubu administrations as visionary and progressive and highlighting improvements in national security and a reduction in food prices as indicators of effective leadership. This endorsement is not just symbolic, it reflects our deep confidence in President Tinubu's ability to deliver on the promise of democracy. The Osun PDP Senators' caucus is united and unwavering in support. There is no internal dissent, we stand as one. They also urge the President to sustain and accelerate his development strides for the benefit of all Nigerians. However, in reaction to the endorsement, the Osun PDP leadership clarified that the party would look into Governor Adeleke for direction before making any formal declaration of support for Tinubu or any presidential hopeful ahead of 2027. Osun PDP directors of Maidan Oladele Bamiji stated that while the senator may have met with presidents and made their position known, the party in the state would defer to governor guidance. Osun PDP seek Adeleke direction as senators endorse Tinubu. The full details of this story is inside the Punch newspaper for today. Over to you, Ifeoluwa.
In another story in the Tribune newspaper, ADC meets today, may ratify coalition. Leaders of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, had to hold a crucial meeting in Abuja today following its choice by the promoters of the coalition of political leaders to challenge President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 presidency. The meeting, which we received the report of the 2 negotiating teams set up by the ADC in the wake of negotiation, followed indication that key opposition figures, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, and ex-governors Nasser El-Rufai, Rotimi Hamechi, and Kayode Fayemi have settled on the ADC as a preferred platform for a grand coalition to unseat President Tinubu. The decision of the main opposition figures was reached at a high-level meeting held Tuesday night in Abuja, where the influential political actors resolved that the ADC presents the most viable structure for their united front. The full details of this story is in the Tribune newspaper. Over to you, Kelly.
Another story here with me, the Punch newspaper for today. Kaduna unveils skills program to train 12,000 youths annually. The Kaduna State Governor Umba Sani has unveiled a skill acquisition program aimed at producing a skilled workforce that can drive self-reliance and attract employment opportunities from tech companies. The Commissioner for Business, Innovations and Technology, Patience Fakai, disclosed this at Wednesday quarterly ministerial briefing held at the Sarkashin Ibrahim House, Kaduna. She said the Governor Umban led administration in the state has constructed 3 skills acquisition cities in the 3 senatorial zones, which are expected to train 12,000 youths in the first year and 24,000 youths by the second year in 13 trade areas. The commissioner said the skills to be taught include aluminium fabrications, fashion designs, and solar panel installations. We hope that most of our unemployed youth who undergo this training will be self-reliant or be engaged by reputable companies. This is a way of creating jobs. The commissioner also highlighted the government's plans to transform the particular markets into an industrial hub, where also received National Skill Qualification Framework certification. Kaduna unveils skills program to train 12,000 youths annually. The full details of this story is inside the Punch newspaper for today. Over to you, Folua.
In another story in the Tribune newspaper, accurate blood pressure measurement, treatment essential for long-time survivor for hypertensive patients. Nigerians have been told that by regularly and accurately measuring their blood pressure, by managing it through medication and lifestyle changes when high levels are detected, they can lead long, healthy lives free from the complications of hypertension such as stroke. Speaking on the theme of this year's World Hypertension Day 2025, measure your blood pressure accurately, control it, live longer. Dr. Oladipo Fasun, the Secretary General of the Nigerian Hypertension Society (NHS), stated that accurate blood pressure (BP) measurement using the current and the correct technique and equipment is essential for taking appropriate actions when high blood pressure is detected. Dr. Faxon, who is also the coordinator of Nigerian's Male Measurement Month, stated that high blood pressure is primarily asymptomatic, meaning that individuals may have it without being having. This is really an healthy advice for Nigerians.
Okay.
Yes, it's true, because we need to be checking our blood pressure.
That's good.
Yes, because a lot of Nigerians, they don't know that they have this
Kind of.
yes, high blood pressure. It is a silent killer. That is what Dr. Parson said, that it is better that we should always check our high blood pressure. And those who have detected it earlier
Should also check.
yes, and always take the medications.
Okay.
Because when you're taking the medications, at least you can be able to live long and sustain that healthy life. But without taking that drug, that medication, I mean, it
leads to so many diseases.
yes, it can lead to stroke. It can lead to stroke, partial stroke, brain failure. In fact, kidney problem. A lot of things are happening, and in which it is the failure to always check your blood pressure. So, in fact, generally, it's good to go for medical checkup.
That's a good initiative.
Exactly. So, over to you, Kenny.
Another story here with me in the Punch newspaper for today. Lagos Transport Policy Based in Nigeria Says Institute. The president of Charter Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, Segun Obayedo, has hailed the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority for the efficient transit system in Lagos. Obayedo said Lagos State had the most advanced transportation system among the 36 states in Nigeria. He said this on Wednesday at the Lagos State University during the last NACDO Transport and Logistics Conference and Inductions. The event had the theme Safety and Security in the Transportation Sector, the way forward. He noted that Lagos has modernized its transportation system and setting it apart from other states in the country. Obayedo also said the institution was advocating for comprehensive transportation reforms across the country. Legal transport policy based in Nigeria says institute. The full details of this story is inside the Punch newspaper for today. Over to you, Fiolua.
In another story, moving to Guardian newspaper. Compulsory voting. Bill won't save a broken democracy. Senior lawyers. The proposal by the House of Representatives to introduce a law mandating all eligible Nigerians to vote in every elections has ignited a wave of criticism from some respected senior lawyers. From constitutional violations to a practical impossibilities and a political distrust. The lawyers who spoke to Vanguard Law and Human Rights argued that the proposed compulsory voting bill is not only guided by unconstitutional, out of touch with the current democratic reality, and symptomatic of a legislature that has lost focus on true electoral reforms. They affirmed in their various reactions that compulsory voting cannot save a broken democracy. Bill violates fundamental rights. Falana, woman rights advocate and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, kicked against the proposed bill in a strongly worded statement titled "Compulsory Voting is Not Enough." It described the initiative as constitutionally invalid and practically unenforceable in a country where millions already abstain from voting due to dissatisfaction with the political process. The full details of this story is in the Vanguard newspaper. Over to you, Ken.
Now to the Daily Trust newspaper. Immigration labor reforms representative urge federal government to rescue Nigeria stranded in Saudi Arabia. The House of Representatives has called on the federal government to rescue Nigeria living in Saudi Arabia affected by the recent labor and immigration reforms introduced by the Saudi authorities. The call followed the adoption of a motion on urgent public importance move by Representative Mohammed Bello Shehu at the plenary on Wednesday. Presenting the motion, Shehu said the Saudi authority had in August 2024 introduced a significant reforms that affected the labor laws more than any other sectors of the economy. He said the initiated reforms include revised definition of assignments and resignations, non-renewal of work permits for domestic workers, regulations, among others. Representative Shehu said the reforms have affected many Nigerians living in Saudi Arabia for years with large families. He added that the reforms have put some of them out of their job, while some of them were faced with high fees for renewal of their documents and work permits. The lawmaker called on the Saudi authorities to consider amnesties for Nigeria willing to return home. The House adopted the motions and mandated its committees on foreign affairs, interior, diaspora, and Muslim pilgrimage to engage the executive arm and ensure a negotiation of amnesty windows for Nigeria living in Saudi Arabia who are willing to return home, and also ensure their safe evacuation and return to the house within 6 weeks. Immigration labor reforms representative urge federal government to rescue Nigeria stranded in Saudi Arabia. You can see the story now. Very interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Most of our Nigeria living in Saudi Arabia, they are now in labor for even past 6 weeks. So now they have put in regulations to return home for 6 weeks. Even they've called on the lawmakers to the Saudi Arabia authorities that they should return all Nigerian citizens in that Saudi Arabia back home. And they are giving them that's 6 weeks to return back home from Saudi Arabia. That is very, very tough.
So pathetic.
So over to you.
So moving to another story. Boko Haram informant among politicians, soldiers, Zulum. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum alleged yesterday that some politicians and members of the armed forces act as informants and collaborators for Boko Haram insurgents. The governor, who made the allegation in an interview on New Central Breakfast program, also said the Nigerian army lacked requisite equipment to fight terrorists, noting that devoid of politics, Boko Haram can be wiped out in 6 months. Zulum spoke on a day with Senate President Godswill Akpabio, said some of the terrorists and bandits terrorizing the country are not Nigerians. even as the Senate warned that insurgency would spread to other parts of North if it was not checked now. However, efforts by Vanguard to get Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcos Gangai, to respond to the allegation proved abortive, as his phone line repeatedly said the owner was unavailable. This security in this Nigeria needs to be very, very tight. Because the issue of Boko Haram is becoming too much. Now imagine what Bono State Governor said. He said politicians has informants. And
Even the soldiers too.
Has informants.
Yes.
Will I say we are no more safe or what in this country? And it was stated that it did not only have that it's not Nigerians, that maybe it's outside Nigeria. So who are the person? Well, it seems we need a good weapon. Like the Nigerian army need good weapons to be to attack the
Boko Haram.
Yes, to attack the Boko Haram, because the people in the north, they are not safe. And it's really affecting them, and it can also spread to the south. It can spread to the west. May Almighty God have mercy upon us in this country. So over to you, Kenny.
So another story here with me in the Daily Trust newspaper. Governor Diri suspended traditional ruler over court violence in Bayelsa. Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doyi Diri has approved the suspension of the paramount ruler of Swale community in Yunagon local government area over the involvement of his sons in court-related activities. Governor Diri, in a statement on Wednesday by the Commissioner for Information Orientation and Strategies, Mrs. Abrowu Koku Obiya, and Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Chief Thompson Omule, stated that the suspension due to the traditional ruler's inability to show leadership accepted by his position in a fight against crime and cultism and miscredible intelligence, that two of his sons are involved in court activities in the community. Daily Trust record that in the recent past, there is an upsurge in court-related violence and killings in the community as the rival groups are set to engage themselves in supremacy battle. Governor Diri suspended traditional rulers over court violence in Bayelsa. The full details of this story is inside the Daily Trust newspaper for today. Can you see that it's not his fault? Suspended a big high traditional ruler in the country, in the community. Even his two sons are also involved in that courtism and even court.
Can you imagine?
To suspend that traditional ruler is not his fault, because he does not want anything that can pertain any cause or courtism in that community. So he suspended that traditional ruler, even his two sons involved in that court. So they are giving them, even he give him time to show his leadership, maybe a court leadership in order to involve in that court, but he does not show up. So that's why he just has to just suspend the traditional ruler and his two sons out of the community.
Can you imagine?
So that's
a very interesting story. So moving on to another story. Implement approved pension increments. Release withheld palliatives, reps tell federal government. The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to immediately implement the approved pension increment and release all withheld palliatives meant for Nigerian pensioners. The call was directed at the Ministry of Finance and other relevant agencies, including the Ministry of Humanitarian Services, the Office of the Accountant General, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate. Lawmakers raised concerns over the worsening hardship faced by pensioners due to the non-payment of the approved pension increments and delays in the distribution of government-sanctioned palliatives. The resolution followed a motion of urgent national importance move during plenary by Rep. Ibrahim Ayokule, who highlighted the continued struggles of senior citizens despite their years of service and contributions to national development. In fact, this is a smart move by the House of Representatives to the pensioners.
Okay.
Because the economic hardship of this country is
very hard.
Too high. And you see, this suggestion is really, really good, because a lot of pensioners, they are struggling. They cannot cope with the high standard of living anymore. They have worked so hard for this country. They are senior citizens. They have worked so hard. So they should be rewarded. They should enjoy their sweat. They should enjoy their reward. And they are getting old. They need financial sustainability. That is what they need at the moment. A lot of them, they cannot cope anymore. So I just pray that they really make it happen. Not just saying it, but by backing it up with action. Yes. So that's just it. Over to you.
So lastly, story here with me, the Daily Trust newspaper. Sani appoints Education and Youth Commissioner, creates Information Ministry. Kaduna State Governor Senator Sani has announced key changes to his cabinet, including the appointment of Professor Abubakar Sani Sambo as the new Commissioner of Education and